No, no, no.
All right, ladies and gentlemen who are in here in the audience, so while they're getting set up and we're getting ready to go, I just wanted to go over some things of basic audience norms. So number one, you're here to kind of observe, pay attention, listen to the hard work that these groups put into their projects. In a couple short years, this is going to be you. Hopefully, what you see and what you hear are some things as to things that maybe you want to do, or I didn't like the way they did that and I would do it different. So please be mindful of the fact that you are an audience member, so phones should be on silent or off and away. So they should not be out in your lap, anywhere like that. You shouldn't be checking anything. Give your full attention to the people who are presenting. In the transition time between, so if you need to go to the bathroom, your time to do that was before you came up here. When the next group is getting ready to go, there will be some transition time. You're welcome to go to the bathroom then. Just realize that not all the rooms will be on the exact same schedule, so if you go out to go to the bathroom, please make sure you're quiet when you're out there so that you're not disrupting any other rooms. After the second presentation, we'll have a little bit of a longer break for you guys to kind of unwind, relax a little bit before we get together for the presentation after that. Okay? Any questions? Okay.
So, hi, my name is Arakawa.
My name is Thomas Obando.
And I'm Yoshida.
And before we start, I want to thank you guys for coming and seeing and listening to our project. So today we'll be talking about red versus blue, which is the Republican Party versus the Democratic Party. So again, I'm Arakawa, and I chose to do this project because politics has been of an interest of mine for about the past couple of years, and it's something I can see myself possibly pursuing in the future.
And once again, my name is Thomas Obando, and the reason why I picked this project is because I feel like people in Hawaii don't feel the necessity to actually vote. Well, I'm here to engage you, the audience, to show that even though we're one of the smallest states in America, your voice still matters, and when you turn the right age of 18, you should go out and vote.
And I'm Yoshida. So the reason why I worked on this project was because last year I actually turned 18 and I had the opportunity to vote, but I didn't. So through working on this project, I realized how important voting was. So I hope when you guys turn 18, you guys do what I couldn't and vote. So red stands for the Republican Party.
And blue stands for the Democratic Party.
So our essential question was, what are the primary differences between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and how do they affect our society?
So whether you're 18 now or will be in a few years, we all need to vote. So this is our why. We wanted to stress the importance of informed voting.
Okay. According to the Office of Elections, in the 2014 election, Tommy Waters and lawyer Trevor Ozawa, Tommy Waters in the orange, Trevor Ozawa is in the blue. They ran for state representative for District 4. And Tommy Waters lost by 41 votes, but District 4 has District 4 runs between downtown Honolulu to like Waikai side. And once again in 2018 of this November, they faced off once more. In November, they vote same place with the state representative for District 4. This time, sadly again, Tommy Waters lost by 22 votes. But he is currently taking this up to the Hawaii Supreme Court because 22 votes are within the margin of machine voting error. And this is why we need to vote. District 4 has about 100,000 residents in its district, but a little less than 40,000 people actually voted. This is why voting is important and something we all need to do as a community.
Okay, so for our thesis, it's the Democratic and Republican parties affect our everyday lives through policy that they enact, and that what we're going to focus on would be fiscal policies, voter base, and militant diplomatic issues. So this is what we're going to talk about: fiscal policies, voter base, and militant diplomatic. So when people think about fiscal policy, they tend to think about taxes. In 2017, with Republicans in the majority, they were able to rewrite the tax code with H.R. 1. According to the GOP.com, they were able to cut taxes from everybody from the poor, rich, ultra-rich, and the business people. And but according to the Congressional Budgetary Office, or the CBO, this will add $1 trillion to the national deficit by 2020. The Democrats argue that they use what's called trickle-down economics. That's the theory where when you cut taxes for the rich and the businesses, the money that they save from not paying taxes will trickle down to the people that work in the factories and the businesses. While this has happened in small cases to like Southwest Airlines and Walmart, as a whole, it never really happened. You always see the CEOs and the business people enlarging their profile by millions and millions of dollars, while the people working in the front lines, the people in the car manufacturing lines or the cashiers, they never see a pay raise at all. The Democrats believe in cutting taxes for the poor and the middle class. This would allow them to make more money and possibly not have to live on a paycheck-to-paycheck basis. And they want to instead add taxes and close loopholes for the rich and the businesses so that they can take all the money that they need and what is due, and that we can, and so that the government can stay open and function as a whole.
Okay, voter base. According to Democrats.org as well as GOP.com, the term voter base refers to a group of voters that almost always support a single party's candidates for elective office. For instance, Hawaii. Hawaii is dominated by the Democratic Party and has supported the Democrats in almost every presidential election it has been in, except for 2 times. The first time being in 1972, Richard Nixon versus George McGovern, and the second time being in 1984, Ronald Reagan versus Walter Mondale. Base voters are highly unlikely to vote for the opposing side of the party, but it has happened. For instance, in 2016 presidential election between Donald J. Trump and Hillary Clinton, Pennsylvania was supposed to be for the Democratic side, but when the votes were counted in, majority of the votes voted for Republican side. There are many different types of social issues that are the driving base for each political party, but some of the major ones that jurisdict which political party you vote for as such. For the Democratic side, it is the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, or more commonly known as Obamacare, as well as the LGBT community. People that support this, love is love, go for the Democratic side. For the Republican side is gun rights, the Second Amendment, or the right to bear arms. For instance, NRA are huge supporters of the Republican side because they support and fund their campaigns.
So military and diplomatic issues. Both parties believe in a strong military. However, the Republicans believe in peace through strength. This technically is an intimidation tactic. The thinking behind this tactic is, if America has a strong military and a strong national defense, no other country or territory will attack us. And while that is a good tactic, according to the Department of Defense, it's costing the US $32 billion every year just to maintain our military. The Republicans also believe in America first. So this means that any diplomatic policy must benefit America. An example would be the Paris Climate Accord. In 2017, President Donald Trump withdrew America from this accord because he didn't see it benefiting America, hence the name America First. The Democrats, however, they believe in a strong military, but they understand that the government already spends too much money on our military. According to the Department of Defense, in total, the US government spends $610 billion on our national defense and military. To put that in comparison, this graph is from the Peterson's Foundation. If you look at it, the United States by itself spending more on our national defense and military than China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, India, France, and the United Kingdom, and Japan. So that's 7 other countries are spending more. The Democrats want to cut the military budget and spend it elsewhere to parts like education or healthcare for all, even the fight against climate change. The Democrats want to focus more on diplomatic reasoning rather than force or the intimidation tactic.
So for my next step, I served as an intern for Senator Thielen's office from Kailua to Hawaii Kai, and Representative Cynthia Thielen from Kanebe to Kailua. Cynthia Thielen's the mom, Laura's the daughter. They're both 2 different political parties. It's kind of funny. But so with both of them, I served towards the end of session. So that was when bills are already finalized, but they were going through committee meetings, which is the politicians on that board would, on the committee, would finalize and make sure everything is okay, and they would send it off to the governor's office and have him sign it. I also researched a lot of bills, and with the state representative, she made me do a little bit harder work, I guess you could say. She had me write an op-ed to the Honolulu Civil Beat against for an audit by on the Oahu Agriculture Department. And she also had me write an email to the chairwoman of BLNR, or Board of Land and Natural Resources, against a proposed seawall that would have been built around various locations across Oahu and the natural beaches. Working with them, it showed me that a lot of people think it's state politicians, they don't do nothing, their job's easy. It's a lot more harder than a lot of the people think they got to deal with leadership that is corrupt. They have to deal with the constituents who don't really care or just yell at them. So what they do is very hard. It taught me that, we tend to take them for granted when they do a whole lot more work than we actually know that they do. And then I also served on different multiple campaign chairs. So the first one was, I served on multiple, these are the few I'm going to talk about. So the first one was Jessica Woolley. So for her campaign, I was a precinct chair for one of the precincts in the district. So for that, I had to, at least once or twice a week, I'd have to walk around that certain area, go door to door, and every night I'd have to call people from their home to tell them who the candidate was and ask them to vote on election day for the candidate. For Kim Coco, I was her chair for Kaneohe. So that means every sign waving event that happened, which was about at least 3 times a week and was always morning and afternoon, I would plan it and run it for her. Learning about this stuff, it's a whole lot, running a campaign is a whole lot harder than just one person, because you see them sign waving and smiling, you think everything it's simple, but a lot of work goes actually into planning and organizing it and learning that you need your what do you call that word? Your good supporters, people that'll always be by your side no matter what.
Oh, so for my next step, I participated and got involved in different sign waving and canvassing around some districts in Oahu. I canvassed for Natalia Hussey-Burdick, Jessica Woolley, as well as for Con. And in doing this, I learned a lot about the political leaders going door to door and really getting to know their community as a whole. One of the most memorable moments in my next step was I was canvassing around Manawili Kaneohe for Natalia Hussey. And I was going door to door asking why you should vote for her and would you mind me setting up my signs there. I go to the door and knock on it. A man answers. I'm like, hello, sir. Are you interested? And before I could say anything, he said, no, go away. I was very startled and shocked that someone would be so rude. So I was like, I respected his wishes and I fled. I was like, okay, not for me. Anyway, so in doing this, I saw a lot of people's different reactions, some good, some not so good. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't having a good day. So overall, it was a fun experience.
So for my next step included canvassing and sign waving like Thomas and Christian. I supported 4 candidates in 1 ballot measure. If you look around the room, you can see different signs. So like Christian said, Kim Kokoyomoto. I worked with Ikako Hussey with Christian, Natalia Hussey-Burdick with Thomas, and Christian solely worked on David Ige, but together we worked on these different these campaigns. Many times we had to wake up earlier than 5 o'clock in the morning because then we had to get to the location and we had to catch the morning traffic before everybody left for work. So we would be really tired and then we'd have to stand for 2 to 3 hours in the hot sun. Sometimes we were in Kaneohe, so it would rain a lot and then the sun would come out and you get all sweaty. But on top of all that, you had to smile and you looked like you had fun. And it was fun, but after a while it started taking a toll. It was overall a great learning experience. One time when I was sign waving for Jessica Woolley, I was able to meet her campaign manager. His name is Randy Ching. He just so happened to be a retired Marino teacher. He worked here and he taught physics. He actually taught Dr. Berkmeyer. And he even knows Mrs. Martin. So it was interesting to learn his platform and why he supported Jessica. Another part of my community service, as I said, was canvassing. So this day, Christian and I were trying to go door to door to discuss our candidate's platform for Natalia that day, but nobody was answering. Because it was in the middle of the day, many residents would be at work, so we had to switch up tactics, and I'm writing a little message on it saying, aloha, sorry I missed you, call me if you have any questions. That's why I'm writing it in the car. Yeah.
All right. So for my interviews, I interviewed the people I interned with. So the first one was Cynthia Thielen, and I asked her why she had for public office, and for her, she's an environmental lawyer and the founder member of the UH Law Review, and she was elected in 1990, and before that, the rep at that time was very bad for the environment. He was a guy who basically wanted to take away all regulations, and he wanted to make himself look good by building all these nice projects in Kailua, Kaneohe Bay, and didn't really care about the environmental impacts. And Cynthia said, enough is enough, and she said, I want to run. I want to fight for Hawaii's natural resource and the environment. And 2020 will mark her 30th year at the Hawaii State Legislature. And to this day, she still is fighting for environmental change. She told me that because we live on a very small island that's continuously growing in population, she told me we have to fight to protect what we have left of the natural resources, because we don't have a lot left because we keep building buildings and new stuff that is tearing down the environment. So next one is Laura. I asked her the same question, But she answered it kind of differently. Most people, when they run for office, they have one main reason. But for her, it was more than just one thing. It was about fighting for women's rights. Being that her district is in Kailua. Kailua is a very expensive place to live in, so she wants to fight for affordable housing in Kailua so people don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. She wants to always put residents first in Kailua and then tourists. And then she also does own a small 1-acre farm in Waimanalo. So she knows that in Waimanalo, or actually in general, it's very expensive for farmers to purchase the land for their farms, and then the materials and everything else. And by the time they make a profit, they're so much in debt. And for them to make money just takes a lifetime. So she wants the farmers be able to buy subsidized land so they can be able to make a profit and not have to be in debt till they retire.
For my interviews, the first person I interviewed is a woman named Natalia Hussey-Burdick. She was running to be a state representative for District 49. And in the question I asked her during my in-person interview was, what was the best part of your campaign for you? And she replied with, she was inspired by the many people that she met through her campaign, many adults and kids such as myself that were involved in her campaign. She saw this as a way of people really engaging in the democratic system as well as the political system. The second person I interviewed was a woman named Kim Koko Iwamoto. She was a former member of the Board of Education, and as well as she was running for Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii. The question I asked her was, what was one way that you try to really connect with your peers during your campaign trail? She replied with, in Hawaii, the best possible way to win is through name recognition. And that's exactly what she did. She had her commercials running throughout all her campaign season. She had her name posted on all social media outlets. She held meet and greets and coffee hours across all the major islands. And sadly, even though she didn't win, she still felt that she got her message out and she really connected with the people of Hawaii.
For my first interview, I chose State Representative Greg Takayama because he represents my district, District Pro City, which is 34. I wanted to know why or how he connected with his voters. As you can see, he does many things. A couple things I want to point out: he sends monthly mailings to keep his voters informed and involved, and he hosts community town hall meetings for people who have questions. Oh, sorry. I was surprised to hear that he did so much because my family and I live in his district, and we've never really heard of any of these things. But after interviewing him, I learned how much effort the candidates put in just to connect with those in their district. My second interview was with Jessica Woolley. I interviewed her because I was able to work on her campaign and connect with her. So she lost, so I asked her if she was going to run again. She said no, because she believes that in Hawaii, the current democratic system is broken. By broken, she means people who get elected here in Hawaii tend to get re-elected because their name kind of gets out there, so it's continuously get re-elected year after year, making it hard for others to get voted into office.
So with that said, we hope that you learn a lot, and we hope that when you do turn 18, you do go out and vote, because it is your voice, your choice, and your vote. So this is our We're Excited, and thank you. We made that.
Mr. Reuter and I are going to start with a couple questions, but then we'll obviously open it up to the audience as well. So the audience, if you've taken anything from what you've heard and you wish to ask them any questions, you can. First question for all three of you, and actually I can kind of hear an answer from all three, is based on what you experienced and what you saw, going into this project, obviously you have a general interest in politics. What party do you affiliate yourself with? And did your thoughts on that change at all as a result of your experience?
I think I support the Democratic Party, and like Jake said in his interview with the person, is the democratic system is kind of broken, because once a person is reelected, he tends to stay there for a long time.
Well, I consider myself a moderate, but I tend to lean more on issues for the Democratic side, and it's basically because I try to put people over party. So if one person has a good stance and they don't align with the party, I cannot really support them. But like with Cynthia and Laura, I like them both, but they're both two different parties, so it's kind of hard for me to identify as one with them and work with the other. So that's why I kind of consider myself a moderate, but leans for the Dems.
If I'm going to be honest, I really didn't know a lot about politics coming to this. I didn't have a I wasn't really on a strong stance. I wanted to come in unbiased, especially if we're gonna evaluate the two differences. But coming after learning about this project, I can say I'm almost a strong Democrat, almost.
I would say it's pretty clear, like when you look at statistical information on voters, that there's a huge disconnect between politics and young voters. A proportion of voters are generally much older. Why do you feel like that is, and how do you feel like your project helps to address that?
Can you say the question one more time, please?
Yeah, so why do you feel like there's such a disconnect between politics and young voters? Why do you feel like the proportion of voters on the younger side tends to be much less than older voters? And how does your project help to address that?
Well, I feel like people in the young ages, so maybe 18, 19, 20s, in the 20s, they don't really see the importance of it, you know? She's like, why should I vote? It doesn't even matter. My voice doesn't even care. But that's in fact wrong, because as it is our God-given right as humans to vote.
I agree with that. A lot of young people don't tend to vote, but in this past election, there were a lot of younger people running for a public office. So you could probably say Senator Sanders was able to kind of build up the younger people to tell them to go out and vote. And it didn't happen in 2016, but in 2018, a lot more younger people did go vote, and a lot of younger candidates did choose to run, and some of them did win. So younger people still don't vote as much as old people, but they're slowly starting to get there.
Speaking from my own experience, so I was 18 and I had a chance to vote. I didn't, and my excuse was, like Thomas said, I'm just one person. I don't think I'll tip the scales that much, even if it came down to it. But, having addressed, all the things, learning about Tommy Waters and all the other, most of our candidates sadly did lose, which was sad for us because we put in so much hard work. Yeah. So, when you guys turn 18, please vote, because a lot of people are counting on your votes. So we're hoping that this, hopefully it's spread out. They go to their families, and yeah, we just started small.
Kind of similar to what Tom spoke about, that mentioning that a lot of people feel that their vote doesn't matter, and some people feel that way because when you first, if you did word association, you heard the word politics or politician, a lot of times one of the first words that people will say is like corrupt. So in what you guys saw, knowing that there are rules you worked on campaigns and there's rules along that, you heard about rules being broken during the presidential election. What can you guys speak to in terms of negating that myth and kind of saying that the corruption side is not as important of an issue as getting out to vote?
Well, I'll say a lot of the candidates I work for, which would be Kim Coke, I got to know her really well. She and a lot of the other candidates, they refuse to accept money from donors and big companies. So that really basically showed the people that I'm not owned by anybody. I am who I am. This is my choice. That's why that's why a lot of the people that I ended up supporting with the exemption of the governor, they did not get money from corporations. They were really, they're them. They're not bought by some big oil company or some sheet metal. They are who they are.
And to add on to that, when we were going to canvass for Christian, he actually told us that we can't put up signs in public areas. We have to get the residents' approval. Yeah. So a lot of them would say, no, I support this one. And we wouldn't, I'm not gonna lie, Thomas and I did say, we'll just put it by the library real quickly. We'll just put it in so some cars can see it. Because you said, no, we can't do that. So a lot of the candidates, they just want to get their name out there as good. And a lot of them are. So don't discourage that. Don't let that discourage you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
My bad, guys. I messed up on them.
That's fine.
When do we give you our verification hours?
Verification hours is
For her products around here, she gets all of the stuff. All the oil. France, Japan, China, Canada. She's got a couple of investors, so the only hard part now is she's got to find. She needs help. She can't produce as much as she
Oh yeah, so they're recording her. Like,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our second presentation, so please give your attention to the main time.
You can't go a day without being in the sun. Everywhere you go, you're exposed to UV rays. Who here has walked outside? Rode in a car? Sat in Rogers Hall? Anywhere you go, you cannot escape UV rays. The sun is a major part of your day. Good afternoon. My name is Gueverra, and this is my partner, Kylie, Guieb. And our senior project is on sunscreen, a hot topic. Having flawless skin is a new beauty goal for all ages. With flawless skin, a person's complexion looks younger and healthier. When a person is constantly under the sun, the chances of achieving that flawless skin decrease.
So, our central question is, what can people do to protect themselves from the UV rays and keep their skin looking young? As Kimmy and I began our project, we started to develop our thesis. With proper skin care, people can reduce their chances of developing skin cancer and keep their skin looking young. Kimmy and I wanted to explore this topic because we live on Hawaii and every day it's sunny. Being active and out is part of our daily lives.
I bet you didn't know that your skin creates its own sunscreen. Melanin is a pigment produced by melanocytes. Melanin helps prevent skin damage by creating an umbrella over the nuclear envelope. Melanin is also protecting against skin damage by absorbing UV rays before it can reach the deeper level of the epidermis and dermis. When a person practices poor skincare, they don't protect themselves from the sun. When this happens, skin cancer can arise. Skin cancer starts within the skin cells and is uncontrolled cell growth. Skin cancer can be diagnosed in 3 levels, one being fatal and the others being more treatable.
So there are 3 different types of skin cancer. The first one being basal cell skin cancer, the second being squamous cell skin cancer, and the last and worst one being melanoma.
Basal and squamous cell skin cancer are the most common, mainly found in high exposure areas to the sun, such as your head and neck. Basal and squamous cell skin cancer can also be related to a person's sun exposure. Basal and squamous cell skin cancer arise on the skin as a flat area showing slight differences from normal skin. Skin cancer can show up in any shape or size. A warning sign for melanoma is a new spot on your skin that is changing in shape, size, or color. Since everybody's skin and eyes are damaged by the sun, why not protect ourselves? It's really important to wear sunscreen and get that protection from UV rays.
As noted by the American Cancer Society, skin cancer is actually the most diagnosed type of cancer in the US. In fact, every year, skin cancer is more diagnosed than all the other cancers combined. So with this knowledge of skin cancer being such a commonly diagnosed cancer, why don't we take the extra precaution to protect our skin?
Kylie and I were given the opportunity to interview Dr. Kevin Dawson, the chief dermatologist at Queens Medical Center. We asked him what exactly happens when a person's skin is exposed to the sun for too long. He replied by saying when UV rays A and B penetrate the skin, they cause inflammation and lead to sunburn. When they cause damage, the body needs to fight to prevent those bad cells from spreading. If this fails to happen, skin cancer can arise.
Along with a specialist who specializes in skin cancer, we also wanted to get to know the emotional and physical experience of cancer itself. Marinol's own Mr. Ryan Smith was nice enough to allow Kimmy and I to interview him due to him being a skin cancer survivor. Having dealt with melanoma, the worst kind of skin cancer, Mr. Smith had a lot to say to those who take sunscreen for granted. People should know that skincare isn't just about vanity or looking young or staying wrinkle-free. It's actually about staying alive. Your skin is an organ in the same way that your heart and your kidney is an organ. Your skin is one living organ. And if it stops working, you'll die. So it's actually serious, and it's really funny that people take it for granted because your skin is actually the organ that protects all of your other organs. And it's a no-brainer to start using sunscreen. Anybody who has health insurance should go and see a dermatologist every few years just to get their skin checked out.
For our senior project, we wanted to do a creative endeavor. For this, we wanted to make our own homemade sunscreen. Since there is a big difference between chemical and mineral sunscreen, we wanted to make a natural sunscreen. We spent many hours researching different recipes and how to find the ingredients. For our sunscreen, we use zinc oxide as the only mineral to protect against UVA and UVB rays. Zinc oxide creates a layer over the skin that blocks from UV rays. Zinc oxide is also stable in chlorine and will not break down to cause free harmful radicals, cause skin irritation, and it won't disrupt hormone production. Zinc oxide is also a non-nanoparticle that will not absorb into your skin.
As for chemical sunscreens, they are actually designed to absorb into your bloodstream through your skin where a chemical reaction takes place. During this chemical reaction, ultraviolet energy is absorbed and dispersed as heat. These chemicals are linked to hormonal disruption and coral reef bleaching. As for the sunscreen, me and Kimmy used a recipe from Nifty, and we devoted a couple hours to buying the sunscreen and also making it. Our sunscreen consisted of coconut oil, pure beeswax, pure shea butter, essential oils, cocoa butter, jojoba oil, zinc oxide, and aloe. The process of making the sunscreen consisted of us melting all of the ingredients together over a slow burner, making sure to add the zinc oxide at the very end. Today we have provided Mr. Reuter and Mr. Davis with samples of our sunscreen, and we will be passing around our sunscreen for you guys to try out. Just to let you know that these are made out of all natural substances, and this is a mineral sunscreen, so it won't go on as sticky as regular sunscreens.
So if you do get the chance to rub in the sunscreen, or if our judges rub in the sunscreen, you'll notice that it creates a white layer over your skin. That is because we only use zinc oxide as the mineral protecting against UV rays A and B. Zinc oxide creates that layer over the skin that is actually blocking the UV rays. Since it's not like harsh chemicals, the UV rays will be blocked away from the skin.
So Kimmy and I grasped at the opportunity to create and design the packaging for our sunscreen. Combining our initials of our last names, Gueverra and Guieb, we dubbed the sunscreen Gigi Butter. A lot of people have been asking if we're going to sell these sunscreens, and to that we just want to say that we are advocates for sun protection. So in the process of making this, we have been giving them to our fellow students, making sure to remind them that we live in Hawaii, so it wouldn't be such a bad idea to put on sunscreen every now and then.
Throughout this process, we both thought it would be appropriate to receive guidance from those who specialize in skincare and sunscreen. We interviewed 2 companies, Little Hands Hawaii and Mama Kuleana. Making sure to keep in mind what she has said, Rosalind Adderin from Little Hands Hawaii had warned us about the dangerous chemicals used by big-name sunscreens. Recently, Hawaii had banned 2 chemicals used by major-name sunscreens, such as oxybenzone and octinoxate. We asked her how she feels on Hawaii's new ban on certain sunscreens. She replied to us by saying that the sunscreen ban brings awareness to what people are putting on their bodies and how we can protect the reefs. She also wanted to make it known that there's a bigger problem arising. These big companies take out oxybenzone and put Reef Safe on their sunscreens. But when they take out these chemicals, they put an even harsher chemical inside their new product. And people don't know this.
As mentioned before, our second sunscreen brand, Mama Kuleana Sunscreen, had a lot to say about the ban on said chemicals. We asked, is there anything that you would like to advocate for to the people who take sunscreen for granted? And in response, she said yes. A lot of people think that our trees provide our planet with the most oxygen, but that is not true. Our reefs do. So in our part, we have to start buying plastic that can biodegrade.
When discussing our success, Kylie and I both thought it would be necessary to share our experience with being on High Now Daily. We were given the opportunity to be broadcasted on the news and represent Marinol and the mission they were trying to share. Through this, we were able to share a little bit of the background of our project and be advocates for sunscreen safety. Before we could go onto the news, we had to meet with Marinol's marketing team to get us ready for this filming. We actually have the segment to share with you today. Volume isn't working at this moment, we are exactly saying what we're presenting you today. We're telling you that we're showing our sunscreen to all of you and how you can protect yourselves against skin cancer and from the UV rays. Mr. Madriaga is also giving a little background on our senior projects and what Marinol is trying to share with everybody on how students can learn more about things they love to share with other people. When we met with Joe Beth and all these new High Now people, they were very welcoming to us, and we were told that we have to match their energy of the caster we were with. But sadly, Joe Beth, she wasn't as energetic as we expected. She was kind of more, maybe she was tired, but she wasn't as, let's do this. And like, we were like, what are we gonna do if she's not, you know, energetic? But we gave it our best to share our project with her and put on a really big smile. And if you see in this video, on our skin, that is not highlight, but that is sweat from being so nervous and sweaty for being on the news, because we only got one chance to do it because I had to go on a plane and get out of there. I'm so sorry that the volume is not working. But I can put on closed captioning if you would like to read it for your enjoyment. It is almost done, do not worry.
So, in the end, we really want to thank Marinol for giving us the opportunity to share our gained knowledge to a wider audience, as well as giving us the experience of being professionally interviewed and aired on TV. As for our challenges, I believe that our interviews gave us the most difficulty. When trying to conduct an interview, Kimmy and I had originally gone with interviewing a local brand sunscreen called Kokua Sunscreen. After communicating with her back and forth through email, she had asked us to email her our questions so that she may answer them on her own time. However, this didn't go down successfully as she never got back to us. In the end, we had to research another sunscreen company, and we ended up finding Mama Kuliana sunscreen. She responded back to us in less than 2 days, and we had all our interviews in on time.
Throughout this project, Kylie and I have both developed personally and spiritually. Through this project, we were able to learn more about the skin cancer and how we can help ourselves either beauty-wise or health reason-wise. Marinol teaches us noblesse oblige. To whom much is given, much is expected. We wanted to learn more about our topic in order to share our new learned knowledge with all of you. Through our creative endeavor, we are allowed to create a new business idea and work with skincare products. For me personally, I got to work with skincare products and learn more about the harsh UV rays and what the effects are on the skin. Something I would like to do in the future and make a career of.
And for me, I took this as a teaching opportunity due to the fact that I want to be a teacher someday, so I can better the understanding of the background of education. As we come to an end with our presentation, we can reflect on the gained knowledge that we have all earned and connect it to our daily lives. The importance of wearing sunscreen and practicing good skincare will help our skin stay youthful and healthy. But also, by using mineral sunscreens, we can also save the earth, especially our coral. In fact, globally, over 14,000 tons of chemical sunscreen go into the oceans and kill our reefs. Mineral sunscreen is also healthier for our bodies. So if you guys ever go to the beach or spend a day outside, just put on sunscreen. Don't get burnt, get turned. That's our slogan.
Our
Don't
brand
get
name
burnt,
slogan.
get turned.
So to end our project, we want to make sure that our audience is paying attention. So we have a couple questions, and our last question, our person who answers the correct question will be given the sunscreen. So our first question is, what part of your body helps prevent from sunscreen or sun damage? Skin. What part of the cell in your body helps prevent from sun damage? Starts with an M. Melanin. Also, okay, our next question is, when out in the sun, besides putting on sunscreen, what is something else you can do besides the other 4 on this board? Nobody?
Just stay hydrated.
Yes. By drinking more water, your body stays healthier, and then you can protect from sun protection.
And our last question is, what is the worst type of skin cancer? Oh, okay.
From not these seniors that are, from not these seniors, since they kind of said it, what are 2 other skin cancers from our juniors? Sophomores. You guys look older than you are. That's a compliment. Guys, work together. Someone wants to win this sunscreen that we made. Come on. If Mr. Davis answers it, then he gets 2 sunscreens. Nobody knows. Okay, Jay. Basil and correct, melanoma. Yeah. Thank you, and that was our senior project.
So let's bring this up.
First first question, so being a science teacher who teaches anatomy and physiology and actually teaches most of what Kimmy had talked about there, I'm going to go with a science question to try to challenge that. You mentioned the difference between the physical and the chemical sunscreens, and your reason for choosing the physical, the mineral-based, is because it's more natural. In addition to zinc oxide, one of the other minerals used is titanium dioxide. Is there a reason why, when creating your product, you specifically chose zinc oxide over titanium dioxide as the mineral base?
So when we were actually talking with Rosalind Adderin from Little Hands, Hawaii, we told her about how we're going to make new sunscreens and make our own homemade. So we told her that we bought actually titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. She told us that we should not use titanium dioxide because it's harsher on the skin and it's also related to hormone disruption. So zinc oxide is the better mineral to choose to put in our sunscreen.
And then follow-up question to that. So obviously when you go and buy sunscreens in the stores and you buy it based off of the SPF, you mentioned that you found your recipe on, what was the site?
Nifty.
So I don't really know if that, is that a credible site? So based on that, how do you know that the sunscreen you create, other than what we know about what zinc oxide does, so is there an SPF rating to your sunscreen, and how did you know, based on like what you put in, that it is in fact SPF rated to that?
For our sunscreen that we have today, it's actually 30 SPF. And based off of Nifty, if you haven't heard of it, Nifty is a BuzzFeed channel that you can watch. So Nifty had multiple credible sources under their own video. A lot of them were from the government, and also they had an FDA test with their own sunscreen that showed that it was 30 SPF. And to achieve 30 SPF, you put about a tablespoon of zinc oxide into our batch.
And one batch was 1.5 jars.
Yeah.
More about, I think, a big part of the project too, and I thought the Hawaii Now was awesome. Another way to like promote your product and what you learned. Can you describe like what else you did, or what else you could do, I guess, moving forward in order? Because I feel like it's something that's discussed a lot, but in terms of actually understanding it, and also in terms of a business idea of like promoting what you guys made, like what are different ways that you feel like you did well, or maybe could do well in the future with raising awareness and also promoting the product that you've made in comparison to so many other sunscreen products that already exist?
Well, our sunscreen is mineral-based. So compared to other companies, which are chemical-based, they're much more better for their skin and also for our planet. So I believe that if we advertise it as more mineral-based, it would also have a better like showing to people who really care about the reefs.
And then,
yeah.
Since we all live on an island, how many of you play sports? When you play sports, do you first think to put on sunscreen? And so for me, personally, to make this project better, is to bring awareness to you guys and to have you guys wear more sunscreen and make it a business project, like how Proactive sells their acne products to everybody. I could sell mineral-based sunscreen to everybody rather than chemical-based.
This is more of a curiosity question. Since you're mentioning it kind of as a potential business or business model, roughly once you had the recipe down stuff, how long did it actually physically take to like mix a batch, make the batch of the sunscreen, package it, all that kind of stuff? So time frame wise, it doesn't have to just ballpark it. Yeah, so like how long did it take to make like a batch of these?
Just that?
Yes.
We started at like 6 and then we ended at 11 o'clock.
So about 5 hours.
It took really long because at first, personally, I didn't know how to use a slow burner. So I just had to keep on mixing it, and then we had to keep on just raising up the heat increments, and then once we got it to like perfect, it finally started getting like smooth. So then we had to package it, and then it took us like an hour or so to design the packaging and come up with the name for it, because actually Kimmy's dad had to tell us like we have to start searching up like can we use this? Can we use the name because we didn't want to like steal it for somebody else, or can we use that slogan because we didn't want to steal it from somebody else? So it took really long.
And the other side of that is the cost side.
Yeah.
So when one of the deterrents from buying some natural sunscreens often is they are much more expensive than the typical like banana boat, copper foam, chemical ones. So with that being said, roughly how much did it cost to make like one batch?
It actually costs kind of a lot because the ingredients you see here today are actually from Ben Franklin, and Ben Franklin is pretty expensive, so maybe it costed about like around $50 to make that container, or that batch of 3.
It was a container and a half per batch?
Yes.
But like all of these ingredients made 2 batches, and we also have some left over, so I would assume like 3 batches at the most.
Audience, do you have any questions?
Do I do it or you?
What ingredient made the sunscreen smell like that? Did it smell nice?
Oh, we used essential oils. We actually used lemon and lavender. We used the lavender for the healing properties, and then we used lemon because it smelled nice mixed in with the lavender.
Who's gonna get the prize?
Oh, Thomas, you will get the prize.
You got it.
Or Lucas can get the prize. Lucas can get them. We can all share it.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Short 5-7-minute break. So anyone in your audience live needs to go use the bathroom or whatever, go do it. Please remember to be quiet and keep them outside.
how to set up Facebook alert.
That's good. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Like you say, you got two white boys on your panel, so it's like this is. You could just keep loading us up with this. Yep. Actually, what would be cool too was I showed her, so I bought a twin screen monitor on my light, and it doesn't have any middle. So I asked, like the woman there, if she had obviously to sell it and say it has SPF in it, she had to like prove that it has like everyday and stuff. So I showed it to Puerto Rico. So I was like, oh, that's even cooler.
It's not like service level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always helps.
That's why it's good that you ask, like, almost like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, just see, like, she's so interested, like, from a business standpoint, like, how do you want to get this forward? Yeah. Beyond the platform. 131?
Audience people, if you have phones out and stuff, finish whatever you're doing on phone, make sure it's on silent again, put it away. And we will give Marissa our undivided attention.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marisah Goo, and before we get started, I would like to ask who in this room owns an iPhone? Okay, so that's pretty much almost everyone in here. And if you do have an iPhone and you would like to follow me along this journey, please open your settings.
Okay, so I guess you can use your phone.
Only for this segment, yes. Okay. And when you guys are there, if you have updated to the newest version of your phone, you should see that there is an option for your screen time. Can you please open that? Okay. So this screenshot was taken at around 11:30 in the day, approximately halfway through my daily life. And I'm surprised to see that I've only used my phone for about 36 minutes. However, yes, what? However, in the last week, I've used my phone around 2 to 3 hours per day. And for me, I don't really like to go on my phone that much, so this is kind of a lot. And what's even more surprising is that I've spent almost half of my day on social networking, so 10 hours and 35 minutes on it. And if you break that down, that's around 5 hours on Instagram because I love Instagram, I love posting pictures. It's great. But that got me thinking, if we as teenagers, young adults spend so much time on these social networking devices, how do businesses effectively use social networking to reach to people like us? And that brings me to my start. What the heck is marketing? Like I said before, my name is Marisah Goo, and I'm here to break it down for you. So what exactly is marketing? It's kind of been a word thrown around the business industry as a kind of artsy subset of it. So let's start with the basics. Marketing is a process to create, communicate, deliver, and exchange offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. So the more traditional forms of marketing can be seen through physical forms of marketing. For example, that can be in a newspaper, a print advert, or even just a magazine. However, as learners and students of the 21st century, we have become accustomed to digital marketing. This can be seen, like I said, through our social media platforms, YouTube, online news websites, and even TV. So according to Jay Baer, professional marketing expert, he lives in the mainland and continental USA and is very good in his field. He quotes, "Content is fire, social media is gasoline." This short yet powerful quote emphasizes how great social media use is for aiding marketing. So now just some social media facts for you guys to see. According to Forbes Business 2016, almost 80% of time spent on social media platforms happen on mobile devices. Now, like I said earlier, almost all of you guys have iPhones, and even if you don't have an iPhone, I'm pretty sure you have some sort of mobile device. And according to Facebook's analytics of 2017, over 50 million businesses use the Facebook business page. And according to Twitter analytics of 2018, around 88% of businesses with more than 100 employees use Twitter for marketing purposes. Now, this can be seen through a lot of fast food chain restaurants. For example, Wendy's, they're very popular with more of the younger generation on Twitter because they like to post a lot of memes, a lot of ads, getting people to come to Wendy's. Now, please raise your hand and keep it raised if you want, if you have one of these platforms. Facebook. Okay, the teachers, yes. Twitter. Okay, it's a little bit more of you now. Snapchat. Yes, that's where the majority of hands come in. Instagram, a little bit more. Or watch YouTube. Okay, that kind of solidifies everyone. So you can see that pretty much everyone in here uses one of these devices or platforms, and it's really beneficial because businesses can use this to reach out to you. Now, if you take a look at this big, daunting, scary number, 1,694,000,000 people are active members on Facebook. To put that into context, the world's population is around 7 to 8 billion people. Now, to think that around 1/7 of the Earth's population is on Facebook.com, or on your Facebook mobile app is kind of scary. That's a lot of people that you can be connected to in a very quick instant. Now, some more stats for you guys. According to Statistica.com, around 330 million people are active members on Twitter, the majority of whom being millennials aged 18 to 29. Now, around 1 billion people are active Instagram members, half of them checking Instagram at least once a day. That is a lot of people, like I stated earlier. So imagine if I were to go up to Jake. Hi, Jake. I have this new business idea to open a new tech firm right across the street. Can you go and let some other people know?
No, she's starting a tech company across the street. She's starting a tech company.
Okay, so you get the point. If I were to get an idea that I wanted to start a tech firm, like I said, and I was to just tell people one by one by one, that could take forever, and I mean forever. There's a lot of people in this room, and just to get that amount of audience to listen to me would be kind of hard. But imagine if you were to post it in an ad, a social media post, and sometimes accounts can get a couple of hundreds of thousands of followers, or even sometimes millions of followers. The impact that would make versus talking face to face would be shocking and very dramatic. Now, this got me thinking of why I love marketing and social media so much in the first place. For me, I see the effects firsthand as an avid user of social media and how much it aids marketing for businesses. So that really got me interested, and I wanted to find myself an internship. This became my next step and my first job. So the company itself is called Olomana Loomis ISC. They are based in downtown Honolulu on the corner of Merchant and 4th Street Mall. Now, Olomana Loomis ISC the name has only been around for a couple of years, but prior to this name, it has been called Olomana Marketing. And then it merged with a company called Loomis ISC to bring you Olomana Loomis ISC. They are a marketing, communications, and advertising company, but they specialize in all forms of business. And they are also an ICOM global network. And if you do some digging on their website, you can tell that they have a global initiative. Over here, we're kind of far away from the rest of the United States, or actually the rest of the world. But in fact, they have some partners in China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, and even down under in Australia. So if you take a look at their website, olamanaloomisisc.com, you can see multiple tabs on their expertise, their work, their people, insights, their real, and everything else that is so wonderful about this company. So right on their work page, you can see Maryknoll School's MX Scholar Program. They were wonderful, and we're wonderful partners for helping to spread how great the MX program is at Maryknoll, and they also helped with a lot of commercials and a lot of ads that got put out. So some other companies and partnerships they've had was with Hawaii Gas, which I was fortunate enough to work with. HPU, they're very close to the downtown location. First Hawaiian Bank, even Iolani Schools, as well as Popeyes, I'll get into that later. Olelo, and even Shriners Hospital, our famous luncheon catering service. So how exactly did I even get involved in this miraculous, wonderful company? I was only a 16-year-old girl. I'm a junior at high school. How did I even get involved? So to start off, I was in a couple of commercials over the past couple of years, and I was fortunate enough to meet Leanne, who she's sitting in the back of the room. Hi, Leanne. And she works for the company and ended up becoming my boss. That was very fun because also when I got awarded the Kekumano Scholarship, which I'm very grateful for, I got to talk to the boss as well as Leanne, and they were the ones who kind of helped get my name across TVs, on Maryknoll, on different websites, and I cannot be more grateful. So some of the tasks that I had to do during my time at the internship, which was around 6 to 8 weeks. This is one example email that was sent to me in my second week of work. I blurred out the email addresses for privacy reasons, but these are some tasks that I had to finish by the end of the week. And for me, I was not used to being in a work setting. As I said earlier, my next step ended up becoming my real job, my first real job. Some of these included walking to another meeting in downtown to talk to heads in Hawaii Gas, or having to go to a couple of meetings, or doing some hard research and working with the WDC, Workforce Development Council. A lot of these things were so foreign to me. This sounded like a complete different language, and for someone who actually does speak another language, this was kind of traumatizing. But over time, I actually got to learn much more about the company, what tasks I had to do, what I had to endure, and it actually became quite simple after. Some other tasks I had to complete. I created social media posts for Hawaii Gas via Hi Now Daily. Hi Now Daily was also the show that Kimmy and Kylie were on. And I kind of worked on the social media posts to get them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, but it was more so for food posts with Hawaii Gas. And Popeyes, like I mentioned earlier. I also helped to create a PR plan, public relations plan, for upcoming Maryknoll commercials that ended up being aired in August and September of 2018. And I also helped to draft press clippings for Toyota's newest hydrogen station for the Mirai car. So as you can see here, this is an example post that I had to help create with another intern, Jacelyn Ho, a junior at Maryknoll. We had to come up with kind of a creative way to get a splash with Popeye's newest iced tea, and that was kind of difficult for us because we were just two girls looking kind of stupid in Bishop Square in downtown, pouring Popeye's iced tea in the middle of a busy day. But we had to find ice from different vendors, so we actually went to Jack in the Box with a Popeyes cup. They weren't too happy or thrilled about that. But in the end, it was pretty fun because we just had to take pictures and pour iced tea into a cup for a splash effect. But that really got me thinking. I don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize, how much effort gets put into just one single post. This was to market for iced tea, and I didn't realize that it could take almost 2 hours just to get one photo. And I also helped to work on kind of a sketch for Maryknoll's commercials, and this was in a meeting that we had at the office. And if you can see in this red circle, there's a little sketch that I did, not the best, but it's kind of broken into 1/3 sections. So 1/3 of the screen would be for kind of the accomplishments of students at Maryknoll who have been really good. And on the other side would be kind of a profile of them. And it was really interesting because it actually got placed and became the templates for 3 different commercials. Sorry, I could not find a good frame. but you're a good student. So basically, like you can see, Noah right here, very, very good student. You can have the My Marino experience when you're graduating and what you have done at Marino and how great Marino has been, giving you the opportunity to be who you are and where you are today. So on my first day at the internship, this was one of my most memorable experiences because right when I stepped foot into the office, they told me, you're not staying, you're coming with us. And I was like, where am I going? And we ended up taking a drive to the Mapuna Puna Toyota station. And I was very confused on why we were even there. But it turns out they were opening their first ever hydrogen pump, actually the only on the island right now. And that was to fuel the new Toyota Mirai car. And as you can see in this photo, Governor David Ige is there, center left. And then in the red shirt is the head engineer for Toyota, one of the ones who actually developed and came up with the idea for this car. And it was pretty interesting because I got to follow Leanne around, I got to meet and talk to other people, and in the end of the day, we had to make a press clipping for all the news outlets that covered this story. Now, the work environment that I endured when I was inside the office was really nice. We were in the Pioneer Plaza on, I think, the 11th floor, and we had a really good work environment, at least for me, because as someone who was only 16, everyone else in the office was obviously older than I am, much more experienced, much more intelligent. But I did not feel like I was a teenager. I didn't feel like I was just a kid compared to everyone else in the office. And everyone treated me with respect just from the first day coming in. And I think that really helped me in my growth and process during this whole senior project. So adding to that, my mental growth. I learned that I can do a lot of things if I just believe in myself. And for someone who has a lot of pressure that I put on myself, and I'm known for having really high expectations of myself, I learned that if I just let loose, set the bar a little bit lower for myself, I can actually do a lot of things and not put too much pressure on myself. However, like every good day comes a couple of bad days. There are also the struggles that I have to go through. So I didn't realize how much work it could be and how early I had to wake up to go to work, the internship, and how much I had to learn and how much I had to do. And I thought that this was gonna be like super fun. And don't get me wrong, it was very fun, but I didn't realize how much work there would be. So my takeaways coming from this is that communication is key, marketing or not. You have to always talk to people to get your ideas across. You cannot just confine yourself and hope that what you think will be perceived the same way as others. So from my first interviewee, Alan Tang, the founder of the company, he said marketing is the one department that needs to understand all the other departments. It sees through all the other departments, and to me, that is a fun position to be in. And I thought that this quote was great because for someone who loves having fun in what they do and not being in a boring job, marketing was kind of great for me to merge my creative side with my business side. And going forth from this, I applied to 9 different schools in the US with a main concentration in business or in communications. And ending this off with Leanne's quote, I think one thing I really love is that my work makes an impact. What I do directly impacts people's lives. And going from noblesse oblige with Marino and all the volunteering that I've done throughout my high school career, I want to take that into what I do in the workforce, and I found that marketing was a great fit for me. So here are my works cited. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marissa. That was actually enlightening and entertaining. And now I'm going to start you off with a question that is more of a moral or ethical issue or concern. You start off the presentation with having people, well, not started off, but mentioning screen time, admitting the use and or abuse of social media, and again, so pulling on my anatomy and physiology background, if you're not aware, the social media is now falling under same, like you can be actually diagnosed with a disease, addiction, because it targets the same centers in the brain that caffeine, nicotine, everything like that does. So social media apps, all the ones you listed that we all raised our hands and said that we use, do this. As a person who wants to go into marketing and business and you are essentially, I don't want to say causing, but you are using the fact that people who might have an addiction to a certain platform, and you're using that to the benefit of making money for a product. From a young person who's going into this career, do you see a way in which you could kind of flip the tables on that, or even just answering by, is there any sense of guilt from a marketing side in what you do, knowing that you're feeding a possible addiction?
And what social media can cause if it's negative. There's a lot of things that happen psychologically, which although I'm not a psychologist or I don't have a science background like you, I think that it's kind of up to you to set boundaries for yourself. And although if you're addicted, it's very hard to come out of that realm. Like you said, it's like drug addiction in the same part of the brain. But of course, I do feel guilty at times, yes. But if say I get into the field of marketing, and if I were to market for certain brands that promote all of that guilt and all of the addiction, I probably wouldn't work with them. I would work for more companies that would, for example, educational companies. And one of my classmates in another room is doing theirs on technology and education. And I do understand that it's addicting, but if you can change the negative things that you're addicted about and put them towards good use, maybe that's a little bit of a better step towards getting out of this negative realm.
And that was going to be my follow-up question to that, was what would you do if you were in the situation where you work for a company, so you have your dream job, someone comes in, a business comes in, wants your business, your marketing business, to represent, I think like big tobacco, but more relevant to this group, if you watch in the news, the vape company Juul literally is now being forced to redesign their marketing to not target young users. So how would you handle the situation of being a young professional, being given a task by one of your superiors to work on a marketing ad for something that you didn't necessarily believe in or you didn't think should be marketed?
For me personally, I kind of put my morals over the money that I receive. Even if it's my dream job and I had to do something like market a drug or market, like you said, vaping, and that's something that I don't condone, I don't think I would take the money in just for the purpose of helping the company out. And to be honest, with my moral standards of how I was raised, I think I would just step out of it, for me, yes.
I had a very similar type of question, so I'll ask something different. So you said communication is the key, right? And I feel like your internship was an excellent experience for you to work on that skill. Can you give like one example of how, even as like you said, the youngest employee there, or you were able to effectively communicate with your coworkers? Like, could you think of something that stood out to you where you feel like you had a success in that way?
Yeah, so we all had personal work emails, so on Google, and I know we're more of like a Microsoft school, but if you're familiar with Google, they have chat features, and we all had collaborative calendars where we could, add each other's work schedules in, and then instead of, walking up to them and bothering them every 10 minutes about their schedule, we can just check online, check when they're available, check when they're not available, and even ask for meetings like, oh, can you meet with me here at this time? It looks like your calendar is free. And besides the calendar, there was also the chat, like I said, and the chat actually went to my phone, my computer, and that was really helpful because, say, if I was out of the office with Leanne or like with another coworker shadowing them, I could get direct and instant messages on updates or things that I missed. And that was a good communication key, and I think that it was really good to be implemented.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Since I gave you somewhat of a harder moral one to answer first, here's a nice softball lob question for you. Have you ever seen or heard of the Netflix show Mad Men?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
But I haven't.
Okay. So basically, it's all about advertising, marketing, that kind of stuff. If you work for a company, what would be, because in that show, kind of there's like dream companies that the one main characters would love. Like Coca-Cola is one of like the main companies that they want to be able to advertise for. What would be your dream company that you would want to be in charge of their marketing and advertising, and why?
That's kind of hard actually, because there's a lot of companies that I follow on like Instagram, Twitter, and I really like what they do as a company. But for me, I think like right now, it's kind of a basic company, but Tesla is kind of getting up there, and Elon Musk, his task and his brain is kind of brilliant. He thinks of things that a lot of other people don't really think about. And although it's not really the best, his solutions for it aren't really the best, and sometimes they're flawed, I kind of like that he thinks kind of past other people and what they're thinking. Like, you can maybe think about what's going to happen in the next 10 years, but he's thinking, oh, 30, 40 years ahead. And that'd be pretty cool if I could work with him or for him. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Guys good?
Whenever you're ready.
Take it away.
So raise your hand if a song, artist, or lyric has impacted you in your life.
Okay, now keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up if that song, lyric, or artist has changed you in a positive or negative way as a person. Okay. Now, what we simply, as you guys can look around and see whose hands are up, what we simply just showed you is the power of music.
Hi, my name is Kamata.
And I'm Raven Mortenson-Young.
And our senior project is on the power of music.
So our essential question that we have to start with
is how can music bring awareness to social issues around the world? And with this, we're challenged with 3 topics to prove.
So our first topic is the 3 points to prove, I'm so sorry, is music can help or hurt the listener.
How music influences society.
And how the culture of music must change. So on to our first topic, or point to prove.
How music can help or hurt listeners and the society. So we would like to give examples for this. Since music does have to talk about a lot of stuff, we're going to talk about the bad influences first, and we're going to start off with...
So,
We're going to start off with many topics, but before this, we're going to talk about what is a social issue. So what a social issue is a problem in society that affects mostly people inside the community or that influences a lot of people inside society.
So what we wanted to point out is we wanted to focus on things that rappers portray or show inside of their music, lyrics, or in their music videos that show a negative impact or show negative things to other viewers, especially focusing on teenagers like us, because we're the next millennial and we're the ones that are gonna eventually make the next difference or be the next presidents or lawyers in the future.
So drugs is a big topic in rap, and you can usually see like marijuana or other stuff such as cough syrup being portrayed in music videos or rapped about inside the lyrics. For an example that we're going to use is a song by Young Bands titled Lonely. For the chorus, it goes, I got all kind of drugs for when I get lonely, lonely. And this portrays that when he has no one else to go to, he always goes to drugs to make himself comforted.
Yeah. So along with the social issue of just drugs being portrayed in the videos and lyrics, it also kind of connects with depression. Saying that when someone is depression or when you're feeling this way, instead of turning to like a therapist or a friend, you turn to substances or drugs that rappers are saying, oh, it's okay to do, or that's the normal thing to do. So next would be sexualizing women. If you look at videos nowadays all over YouTube, these singers or artists and rappers are well known for their videos that use women as a product or as something to sell, because there's a saying, sex sells, right? So they're using women's body to make money or to gain viewers or to be more popular in these videos. So Jason Derulo up top, one of his songs is Talk Dirty to Me, and he basically says, I've been around the world, I don't speak your language, but your booty don't need explaining. So he's basically saying that he doesn't care about what she has to say or who she is, it's all about sex. And we feel that that needs to change within rap nowadays.
And so for another example, we use Robin Thicke, mostly known for his song Blurred Lines, which is just another word for like censorship for the female body parts, which actually was not censored inside the music videos, inside the director's cut.
Yeah. So it's kind of a blurred lines, but no censorship. So next is guns and violence. So not only in rap is guns and violence in recent years has been a apparent thing and has been growing, but also within our politics, like the NRA, it's been an ongoing thing with more school shootings, more gun violence in general, more people holding guns, both legal and non-legal, and rappers becoming more rappers are coming from less wealthy areas, so like the ghettos you would say, and they come from the streets where holding guns and having a gun, mostly illegal, is a normal thing. That's just part of their daily life. That's how they survive. Without that, it shows weakness. It shows that people may not respect you. And with a lot of gang affiliation, that shows that's your life or death right there.
And this also pertains to the younger generation. As you can see, people like social influencers are becoming younger and younger. They're trying to live up to the people that they look up to, which do hold guns and stuff. And so they feel as if they are needed to portray this bad guy look. And for our example for this, we use a song by Playboi Carti featuring A$AP Rocky called New Choppa.
So the song goes, New Choppa, It came with the beam.
Which choppa is another word for a small AK-47 that's more mobile, and it can't be like easily seen by police and stuff, so it can go under the radar. And also a beam is a laser pointer that is an attachment to a gun, making it easier to fire.
So a choppa is like an AK-47, but it can fold. Activists pouring up lean.
Which is pretty much just them condoning drugs.
Got Flacco, yeah, Rocky, he has passed me the beam.
Which just means he passed him the gun.
And I shoot like a king.
Which is self-explanatory.
So what it talks about is like a drive-by, and that's why you're saying like, that's in the song. If you listen to more of the other lyrics, they talk about a drive-by, they had a problem, and that's how they handle it. So
these are all bad influences that I hope none of you guys actually think that is cool to do. And following up with this, we're going to show you guys how music can do good things for the society. So following up with this.
So before we head on to that, why we tie it in is because we want to show you that these are all the things that these artists are portraying that people like us, and a lot has to do with our next point, but people like us are looking at and looking up to these artists because they are public figures.
So you must be thinking, why are we only talking about rap? Why rap this, rap that? But as of January 2018, rap has actually overcame rock and is now the most popular genre in the US, and this has been seen through multiple articles by the Huffington Post, Rolling Stones, and the New York Times.
Yeah. So an example of to focus on the positives, not only the negatives, we want to show you guys music for a cause or music for a change. And this is a song originally by Michael Jackson, but redone by USA for Africa, which was a movement to help raise money for the children in Africa. And this was a whole bunch of public figures and artists coming together to make music, and they all donated with their separate foundations and stuff. But here's a video to explain that or show that. And as you listen to this, like the lyrics in the video, if you kind of like just think about what it really says and means, and just the whole feeling together.
And it's mostly like different celebrities coming from everywhere, joining in for one big problem that they know they can all solve together.
Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry.
So another example that we like to give that is a public figure and is everything, he portrays a good figure, is Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper is mostly known for his debut album Coloring Book, which is a switch up from his other mixtape known as Acid Rap, which is about drugs, so hence like acid, and his addiction to cigarettes.
So Chance the Rapper came from being a rapper who had to come up from doing like rapping about the drugs, the addiction, the stuff he's seen people faced in his everyday life in his town. But after coming from that, he reached the success where he looked back and he kind of realized, like, wow, we can do the same things, make the same music, and be the same people we are, but without or promoting all of the poverty or like the drugs and the guns, even though it is real, it is what's actually happening, but he can see the effect that it's having on the generation now, and how that the generation now is kind of changing in a way where they're thinking, okay, maybe gun violence is okay, maybe this is cool. So he's trying to change that now.
And also to include this is that he doesn't just rap about it and doesn't live it. He actually donated $1 million 2 years ago to a high school in Chicago, which he used to attend.
Yeah. He's an activist of education.
So for my first interview, I interviewed La'ake Ching. He is a sophomore at UC Berkeley. He's a fashion designer and an artist manager, so he manages Franskis and Captain, which are also locally known rappers. He says that it is like 100% known that music influences society, especially rap these days. He says that he's never seen like a movement so hard on drugs and gun violence, and he thinks that himself doesn't think that it's a good idea to be rapping about drugs. He doesn't condone anything because he doesn't want anyone growing up thinking that it's cool to do some stuff and then just be caught up in it when they're older.
So next is how music influences society. So a big thing nowadays that everyone has, as you've seen in the last Marisah's presentation, is social media. Social media is a huge thing that everyone's on, everyone's using, and especially public figures and rappers and wannabe rappers are using social media as an outlet to gain their popularity, to gain attention from other people, or to even gain sponsorship. So like with Instagram's new promotion deal, that's a big thing that rappers and artists are using to try to gain their edge over other rappers. So an example of that is like Taylor Swift. She has 113 million followers, and a lot of those followers are little girls or like teenagers or young women. And one thing that she does is she doesn't, obviously she's her own person before I say anything, but I feel like she could hold herself to higher standards as a public figure than portraying some of the fast-paced, wild lifestyle that she lives, because she has to also understand that not only is it 21 maybe and older people looking at it, but it's also younger people looking at it and looking up to her because they think of her as an artist or a great singer, and they're kids who want to be like her or want to be her. So my first interview was with Alfred Joseph Souza, or Freddie G Money. He is a recording artist and he is currently at Western Oregon University. His major is in computer science, and he says that celebrities have a bigger influence than they realize. And with more and more celebrities getting younger and younger, they're trying to play a role that older celebrities played in the past, but what they don't realize is that this is new times. They don't need to play the gangster or the thug role that maybe was portrayed in the 90s and the early 2000s, because that's not the life that we're living now. 2019, more places are being developed, people are getting the help and the aid they need, and he said that we can portray maybe the turning of things and the betterment of things and the new beginnings instead of the old past trying to wanna be things. So yes.
So with this, with the mass media growing as big as it is, a new account on Instagram known as WorldStar has been blowing up lately for the past couple of years. It mostly posts stuff such as fighting videos, gun videos, and people under the influence because people think it's funny. This leads to people thinking that it's cool to follow what they're doing because you could get some kind of following as they have by getting on top of their account.
So WorldStar, like adding more rappers like Supreme Patty, he blew up using WorldStar. He started from just nothing, doing dumb things like throwing furniture, throwing glass stuff off roofs. Another person who used drugs as a way to promote himself. He's a big marijuana condoner, big marijuana user. And now he's a rapper, trying to be a rapper. And that's just kind of the stepping stones that we're trying to break. That why does rappers need to first, how he got a lot of attention was doing dumb things, doing illegal things, getting arrested. He made getting arrested and I think it was like shoplifting or staying trespassing a cool thing, a challenge that people are trying to do overnight. So that's just the little things that maybe he doesn't realize, but people are starting those things and it's leading to just bad events that follow. Did you want to add anything to that?
So for my second interview, I interviewed Ethan Kitamura, also known as Kid Finesse. He's a recording artist and songwriter that is enrolled into Midpack Institute. He says that music does influence anybody because whenever you listen to music that you like, dopamine gets shot into the brain, which also means that it makes you happier, it makes you feel more alive. And usually what makes you feel good and makes you feel happy usually makes you want to do some stuff that you like listen to. So if you listen to something, let's say a rapper who talks about doing drugs and you start to like it, you're like, oh, that's cool. You're gonna think, oh, since that makes me feel good listening to it, maybe I should try what he's saying.
So the culture of music must change. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the exposure to violence, sexual messages, sexual stereotypes, and the use of substances produce changes in attitudes and behaviors in teens. So studies have already showed that with all the music videos and gun violence, drugs that we talked about, teens are already starting to show more aggressive behaviors, different behaviors, and changing in attitudes, maybe the way they dress, maybe the way they act, they live their lives, or the way they choose their friends. So my second interview was Kupu Deliri Not Wow. He is a singer, songwriter, recording artist, and producer. He is a multi-Na Hoku Hano Hano award winner. and his current band is Remedy Vibes. He said that to sum it all up in a lot that he said, because he gave a lot of good information, he said that music is more than just music. Music is life. And for him being Hawaiian, he said that music is something that he feels that he shouldn't waste and people shouldn't waste. Music is, you don't waste it over drugs, but you share about the positives in your life to make your family proud and to bring your lahui together to make them proud. So the culture of rap music now. Again, the culture of rap is drained with drugs and violence, and this is why we kind of wanted to bring all of that together, and leading up to our next step and what needs to change, that's where we came in and tried to look at what can we do to fix it, or what can we do to do the same thing as these successful rappers like Chance, but do it in a positive way.
So yeah, this led to our next step, which is what challenged us to make an EP, or usually known as a mixtape, and this is what it looks like. Not made today, not made today.
Not made today. We came and took this a while back, and then we came back with the same clothes.
Yeah, so we decided to make a creative endeavor by making our own type of music, putting a spin on it, trying to look up to what Chance does and tries to show like the good side of music and what music can actually do.
So in this, we kind of like underestimated it a lot, and we felt that we could make music and also make a music video, but we found out that it was really hard to make the music. From the engineering to just thinking of lyrics to the creative process to even thinking of time that we can both just sit down and have quiet, peaceful, no distractions, and just kind of collaborate and see how we blend ourselves. So that was kind of some difficulties. But this is us, one of the days that we recorded, we had like 5 days of recording, and it was full days, so we kind of did over the 25 hours, but it was worth it.
Yeah, just some more pictures.
This is just more pictures.
Just a bit flexing.
Yeah, it's us flexing. Shit. This is a video clip.
No, don't play it.
But
just keep going.
Yeah,
we're running short on time, so.
But we're running short on time, so we're gonna.
And so this is the track list. So each song had a different theme to it. So myself revolved around independence. Neo, like the singer, we're just on our love stuff.
We're just in our feels.
Snow White, which is about substance abuse and how it can actually change someone for the worse. And Know Me, which is what we did for fun. And this is kind of a preview of what usually goes through in one song. You can see the beat over here, our vocals, and the effects laid out in the bottom.
Yeah, so every little thing we had to piece it together, separate part, and then make a whole process. So it's just another one.
So a preview, we would have played it, no more time. We're gonna upload it to SoundCloud.
No, we're gonna play a preview.
Maybe after.
Oh, sorry. So some of the struggles that we faced, like I said, we kind of underestimated the project itself. And time was a thing. We were up last night piecing stuff together, trying to make final edits. So I had to sleep over his house because that's how crazy it was.
And also, when you're trying to write a song, it's kind of hard not to swear or like make sure to stick to one certain theme.
It was super hard to look at a theme and make a rap based off of a theme instead of making a rap based off of how you feel at the moment or like about your life. So in conclusion, we just hope that you guys understood the topics of our essential question about music,
which is how music can affect like the society and influence the society. And we want to let you guys know that what people do on the social media and what singers portray is not cool, and you should follow by a good example such as Chance the Rapper. And I wish that more influencers knew that their platform that they have actually shows many people that they don't even know about, like the type of life that they live, and it's not cool sometimes.
We also feel that, like, if you follow Chance the Rapper, more artists can be as successful as him and live that lifestyle where he still praises God. He goes to church like all of us, if you guys go to church. He tries to live his life in a pono way, if you know what that means, it's just like righteous. And he still is a successful multi-Grammy winner rapper. So we can all do it if you just set your mind to it and you stay positive and you do the right things.
So thank you.
So thank you. If you have any questions.
Yeah, any questions?
I don't know, we have a long time there. Play the preview, play the preview.
In terms of, like you said, an example that's had success, what do you think are some of like the biggest movements that's going to take
I would like to say rap or hip hop that actually has substance, like a positive effect on people, and can relate to the younger demographic in a more positive way. What do you think it takes to get more popularity or a higher proportion of rappers that have a positive message or a more uplifting and honest message to the younger generation?
So honestly, I think it has to start off with not just the people, but what Instagram or these social media people promote, because they can choose who goes up and who goes down. But for some reason, they just see that if something's blowing up, even if it's not the best thing, they just decide, oh, I'll get money off of it. We can let them blow up. And I don't think that's like a smart marketing idea, especially like for the younger generation, because they know that it's the younger generation that are the people giving them the money. And I just think it's kind of shady for them to be doing that.
Yeah, I would say rappers, I would say our society or like our communities itself can make a difference also, because if we make a change in making our community positive and benefiting our community, then by little we can make a change that benefits maybe a city, and then from there we can benefit another city. And if rappers can see that benefit and that positive change in the world, then maybe them too will have a positive change in themselves, other than just the social media thing. It's kind of a feeling thing.
I'll kind of go like almost devil's advocate, looking more from the perspective of the music industry, and they're worried about sales. So their concern is not what happens to society or what influence they're having on society. Theirs is, are we making money? So with that mindset, you mentioned, and it's quite obvious, that music does influence society. Could you provide any specific statistic that shows that music is directly linked to violent behavior, to drug use, to like, is there any overwhelming, I forget which one you said, Raven, I just listed as the AAP, like numbers from the study.
The American,
yeah, so you mentioned them, you mentioned that they concluded that it had there. So if I'm a company and I want to sell my product and you're telling me, no, you shouldn't do it because it has this bad influence, I'm going to come back to you and say, where are the statistics? What's the exact evidence? Is it 80%? Like, how many people who are listening to my music are going out and committing murder or using drugs? So did you guys, in your research, do you come across any like hard statistics?
There actually isn't any hard statistics, but what they did is they linked it with, though I mentioned feeling earlier, was because what they did was they played like loud, aggressive rap music. They did it to kids of multiple ages and adults, and then they put them in a room and they asked them after to describe, or like they took their pulse, what they did, to check their heart rate, of course, which I thought was pretty, from like a scientific point of view, okay, that's pretty smart. But they also asked them to describe how you feel. And that was kind of like where that's how they made their conclusion of rap music, or certain types of rap music, being negative towards their behavior or attitude. Yeah, because then like on the other hand, they played them music from the Chance the Rapper color book, and it is rap, and it could sound, even like the feeling of, or the lyrics made a huge difference, because some of his songs have a hard, kind of like gangstery thug sound to it, but what he says is kind of really uplifting if you listen to the actual lyrics. So even those little things made a difference. They said their blood pressure still rose, but they said it's a different type. So yeah.
And the other part of that would be arguing the idea of freedom of speech, right? So like, censorship of every artist should have the right to express themselves the way they want to. So what would be your thoughts, or what could be some things that could be done if we're trying to shift societal like views or culture, but one of the laws essentially would be something that would back the person who's rapping about sex, guns, violence, drugs? Okay.
So everyone knows about NWA, right?
Of course.
So that's their thing. They're all about free speech, right? That's what they fought for. So we obviously know that that's going to be something that's going to be forever fighting for. Everyone's going to fight for free speech no matter what, because everyone has their own opinions. Everyone has something to say. So this is where we kind of put the ball in the rapper's court, or in the public figure's court, and we show them our part and we ask them as us, we can say like, hey, okay, we understand the type of music you make, we understand what you feel, but hey, look at maybe the effects that it's having. So that's when we put it on them and maybe, in a way, guilt trip them, but ask them like, do you want to keep having these effects? Do you see what this is happening? Yeah, I understand you're making money. And then maybe if you want to get like harder, you can say, so you're telling me you're not good enough to make money rapping about positive things? And you kind of put it in their court and you allow them to decide.
And it's not even like that. Like also, it's also like I said before, the music industry, they decide who to give the money to.
Yeah.
And if they just decide to like shoot for a better person, a better public figure, maybe it'll like not just, maybe it's not about the money, but it can like affect more people, because you can see like in ads for like Target, you can see like Lil Yachty there, but at the same time you won't see like someone who talks about killing people.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact that Lil Yachty, I even saw an interview that he says like the only reason why I get these sponsorships is because I don't have tattoos on my face, I don't have tattoos everywhere, and I don't talk about killing people and stuff like that.
Yeah. Does anybody have any more questions? Yes.
What would you like tell someone, or like even like someone if they're like listening to the bad music? Would you tell them, oh like yeah, don't listen to this, or would you like, or if they say like, oh I'm not actually influenced by this, would you recommend it?
If you can listen to music and not have that music, obviously you listen to music in order or according to what mood you're in. So a lot of people, that's what it is, right? If you're sad, you play sad music. If you're angry, you might play some angry music. But if you can listen to that music and not follow or think about their life and put yourself in their shoes and think, oh, maybe that's what I want to do, that's fine. I would never tell you to not listen to it, but I would just tell you, like, maybe think about, like, what you're helping or what you're promoting. Because maybe you might be strong enough to not look into it and look at that and be like, okay, I won't do those substances, but your friend next to you might not be as strong as you. And just by you doing that or not listening to those music or that type of music or promoting it, you could help your friend, you know what I mean? So just small stuff like that.
If you could, would you view there being any way of using social media in the other way, in the sense that you mentioned Taylor Swift as an example and kind of said maybe she doesn't realize that she's attracting such a younger following. So while her actions and things she posts or things she might say, things she might sing about in her lyrics might be appropriate to a 20-something-year-old audience, but not to a 8, 9, 10, 13-year-old whatever girl. You guys, basketball fans, are you familiar with Charles Barkley? He is quite famous for saying he is not a role model. Mom and dad are role models. So how do you see any way, or can you think of something that you can take an opposite spin for those particular celebrities who have that belief that I'm going to keep being me and doing me because even though I'm a celebrity, I don't see myself as a role model. I shouldn't be a role model. That's the parents' fault for not raising the kid properly to not look at me as a role model. So can you think of any ways to kind of combat that?
Yeah, I would say like if it's like an explicit music video or something, they should put like a disclaimer, or like if a certain person lives a certain way, they should make it announced and tell everybody that like if I live a certain way, that doesn't mean you should live it. I do this, this, and that, but doesn't mean you should do this, this, and that. Like if someone says like do what I say, but don't do as I do. And at the same time, there are people such as like Selena Gomez. She knows her following, so she knows what she's doing. So I know that. I'm pretty sure I saw an article where she went to Africa to help the children. She didn't want to just give the money. She made sure that she went there, met kids, made a difference, and she spread the positivity. And it's also like there's a problem in the society where like people only want to talk about bad stuff that happens in the news, but for some reason you don't really hear about the good stuff that actually like that's going on.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yeah. Audience members. Part of this, as you guys being an audience and part of advisory, is to complete a reflection on the presentations that you watched today. So Mr. Ruder will pass those out to you guys.
So I'm going to do,